Are you interested in getting a CCW permit in LA County? Well, you're going to want to pay attention to this video because what was previously thought as impossible is now becoming much more likely that you could actually legally conceal carry a firearm as an LA County resident. Now, in the past, it seems as if nobody could possibly get a CCW. You can watch countless YouTube videos, some of which I have made, where people discuss that it's basically impossible to get a CCW permit if you live in the county of LA. It seems as if a lot has changed, and we're going to be talking about all of that and more. But before we do, I got to say thank you to the sponsor of this channel, Route 66 Shooting Sport Park. If you're in San Bernardino, check them out. If you're in LA County and watching this video, it's probably worth the drive. They're an excellent range. I'm happy to have their support. I will be doing a meetup there on May 8th and 9th with Armed Scholar. More information on that, you can find the video that I made previously. So previously, while it was nearly impossible to get a CCW permit in the county of LA, it seems as if, going back to a video that I made in June of last year, Alex Villanueva, the LA County Sheriff, has loosened their policy. He went on record saying that they were looking to increase their permit issuance up to 400%. And it appears as if they are actually making good on that promise. At the time, I joked about it being basically they're going to do 400% of zero, meaning that they were still going to issue zero. But it seems as if the numbers are promising, indicating that people are able to actually get through the process and get a CCW permit without having to be one of the major campaign donators like you got to be in Santa Clara County. Now, I want to clarify, when I'm going to be talking in this video, I'm going to be reading from a Word document where I've compiled a ton of information from various sources, but I do got to clarify. The most important place to visit is obviously going to be both the LA County Sheriff's Department website, links to that will be in the description, as well as you're going to want to view 2 CalGun threads, which I am going to be relying on heavily for the information. I have to say thank you to 2 members on the CalGun, specifically Paladin and CCW Facts. Those 2 have been going above and beyond what anyone could be expected to do when it comes to compiling information and helping the community, specifically those in LA County, get their CCW and feel comfortable doing the process. This first link here is going to be about LA County specifically when it comes to good cause, and it's kind of an updated thread. You're going to want to read maybe the last 10 threads, the last 10 pages of this thread to get a good amount of information, or you can just kind of watch this video and get a pretty good idea of what's going on. I would recommend perusing this thread if you are actually interested in getting a CCW. Also, I'm going to be referencing this thread by Paladin where he discusses generally a level of advice for any aspect of a CCW and applying for a CCW anywhere in the state of California. This information is very helpful. You're going to want to specifically read number 31, which I will have copy and pasted into my Word document, which you can view below. Now, for those of you that live in LA County, you're going to want to first figure out whether or not you live in a city that does not have an agreement with the LA County Sheriff's Department, meaning that you would have to first apply with the city and then apply with the county if you get denied. This is going to be on a city-by-city basis. For more information about which cities do have an agreement to allow you to apply directly with LA County Sheriff's Department, you're going to want to check that Word document where I have more information, but you can also just check the LA County Sheriff's CCW website, which you should be reading anyway. So let's get into the general process of how to do it. First, read the LA County Sheriff's Department policy, which is listed on their website. The links to that will be down below. Now, when you choose that you want to get your CCW, first, you're going to want to have legally registered in your name the firearms you wish to have on your concealed carry weapons permit. You cannot change your guns that are on your permit anyway throughout the process. You're going to want to need to have those in your possession legally registered in your name in the state of California prior to filling out your application. At which point, you would also need to live in LA County. Most likely, if you live in the city of LA or some of the other cities within LA County, you're going to have to apply with your city. I'm not going to cover every single city's policy because that would make this video way longer than it needs to be. But for example, if you live in the city of LA, you're going to have to apply. Most likely, you are going to be denied through your actual local police department. At which point you have 60 days from the time of getting that denial letter to actually then go and apply for LA County Sheriff's Department. There have been some known instances of people who were initially denied by the police department getting contacted by LA County Sheriff's Department asking if they would like to apply for their CCW with LA County Sheriff's Department. That is most likely not going to happen to you, meaning that within 60 days you are going to have to then fill out another application and give it to LA County Sheriff's Department, starting the process over with that $30 fee to the LA County Sheriff's Department. Assuming your good cause and everything else is good, you're going to get a call most likely from someone within the department. They're going to ask you a few questions about your good cause, maybe just some general background information. Maybe they were confused about something that went on in your history. You're going to want to be very upfront, very honest. If you lie in your application or if you withhold information that they later find, that's not going to be good for you. If everything goes good, they're going to set up a time for you to do an interview. It seems like many people lately have been doing them over the phone, but with everything changing with COVID, it might eventually go back to in person, but it seems as if many people are having them over the phone. So you're going to set up a time to do an interview. That first initial phone call might take a few minutes asking a few questions. The next day, typically, most people are seeing their $30 checks being cashed, at which point they later have an interview set up. The interviews, from what I hear, are taking about 20 to 30 minutes, and they're asking you a whole bunch of information about your good cause. During that time, you're going to want to make sure you bring in a lot of information as far as backing up what your good cause is, providing documentation and that sort of thing. If there are any other documents that they want to see, they will most likely ask you about that. If your interview goes well, you're going to get asked to do a live scan. The live scan, that's going to cause you to have to pay a fee, do the process with that with one of your local live scan offices. That is then going to lead to a period of time where you're waiting for your background check and all that information to come through. This can take a few weeks. In the state of California, when I've had to do my live scanning, I've had it sometimes just take a week or so. Sometimes it takes several weeks. It just kind of depends on what their backlog is at that current moment. Once you do the background check, all that stuff, it goes through. And if your background check is good, you're going to get a phone call from the department saying, hey, go take the training class. There are lists of instructors that are on LA County Sheriff's website. I'm not going to list them off. It would take too long, and the list might change over time. Once you complete your training, you're going to submit the proof of training to LA County Sheriff's Department, at which point they would approve your CCW, and you can set an appointment to come pick up your ID. Great. Now, it seems like most people are saying that process takes anywhere from 90 days to maybe 100 days, 120 days, somewhere in between. It seems like 4 months is pretty typical, especially with the irregularity that the current state of the world has brought us. But expect it to not be a super fast process. Don't hold your breath. It's going to be a slow process, but not nearly as slow as some other counties and not nearly as hard as some other counties. So some general tips. You're going to want to take this very seriously. You're going to want to put in a lot of time and effort into constructing your good cause statement. You're going to want to take every aspect of this application very seriously. If the departments figure out at some point that you're lying or withholding information or that you aren't telling the whole truth, they are most likely not going to trust you with a CCW permit, meaning they're not going to give you the ability to legally exercise your right to keep and bear arms, which isn't good. So if you are actually serious about this, take the time, put in the extra effort. When it comes to what good cause is, every county is different. And unfortunately, it seems like LA in the past was what was considered dark red, meaning basically not going to issue a permit whatsoever. There might be a handful of people total that have one. We're going to be referencing the CCW map and kind of giving you an idea of what that means. So a lot of counties are some relative nature of self-defense, meaning that when you write your good cause statement, which is required in every county, you can just say, I wish to defend myself. And in some counties, that might be perfectly fine. One sentence with just a few words saying that you would like to be able to defend yourself, that's fine. LA County, not that way. Some counties that might fall into that dark green don't also fit that same category, but you might just have to write a little bit more information. For example, in Sonoma County, it seems as if you can elaborate as many possible situations and give as much information as possible. Most people can get a CCW. Light green is kind of a little bit different. It's not necessarily just daily activities. Maybe you do some hiking in rural areas, things that aren't necessarily required of your life, things that you could technically avoid. Maybe you make late night ATM deposits frequently. Maybe you just have an expensive car and carry around expensive camera equipment. That might fall into that category. Light green is somewhat easy for most people to get. Yellow is kind of yellow, red, and dark red are where it's difficult for the average person to just say something and make something up and get it. LA County is currently kind of being considered yellow. but it's difficult to say where exactly it sits, because some people who have had a yellow good cause have been denied, and some people that have had a light green have been approved. Now, I'm going to be paraphrasing a statement from CalGuns user CCW Facts, and this is going to be talking about how you elaborate on your good cause and how you provide documents to back up what you're saying can vastly change your likelihood of actually getting a CCW. If you were just to say, for example, I like to go hiking in remote areas, that, while it could technically be considered good cause, doesn't provide a whole lot of information and isn't going to have as strong of an impact on someone reading it as something that says, hey, I like to go hiking in remote areas. We've seen an increase in crime at these specific places. I've got trail passes and documents and photos from times that I've gone to these places. In recent times, there has been an increase in vagrants or homeless activity in the area. We've seen more crime. There might have been various grow ops in certain areas that have been unknown prior to random hikers stumbling upon them. Things like that, where you can document actual information showing proof that you actually do those things and actually saying, hey, here's specific times, this is a frequent thing about my life. That would have a lot more impact than simply saying, I hike in the wilderness. So how well you write your good cause statement and how much effort you put into it can have a serious impact on how likely you are to actually get your good cause. If you have what could be considered yellow good cause, but you write about it very, very strongly, that might put you into the category where a light red county would actually give you a CCW. For example, let's say you have a light red good cause, meaning maybe you have some threats against your life previously, but that are documented, but you just say, yeah, there's some people that don't like me. That wouldn't be nearly as strong, and you might not get your CCW, even if your good cause would typically be considered good enough for that county. So take the time to be very serious, be honest, don't lie, but tell the story as strongly as you possibly can. When it comes to LA County's good cause, the part that you've most likely been waiting a long time for, I know I put this towards the end of the video, but really you need to spend the time to do your research and be well versed in what's going to happen, because how well prepared you are can dictate your likelihood of getting your good cause. So I'm going to read to you a few different examples of what is considered good cause, and then I'm going to recommend who I think should actually go ahead and apply for it. So the biggest example that I've seen at least 3 people contact me previously about getting their CCW. Now, I can't share too much information about these people because I have to respect their privacy, and some of the information that I've received has actually been submitted through a third party, being Paladin on CalGuns, who has then shared that information. So I can't give a whole lot of specifics, but I can give situations that have been deemed good cause. Several people have reached out to me about being employees of LA County Sheriff's Department that are not law enforcement. Within the law enforcement realm of working for the county and working for LA County Sheriff's Department, there are a lot of people that are not law enforcement, are not sworn police officers, who may be more likely to be threatened because of the company or the organization that they work for. Some of the people that I know that have applied have been employees that worked in administrative roles for the county department and have gotten their CCW since. These people did not have a CCW prior. Some of them have been denied in the past prior due to old policy, but with the new policy, they went through, applied, and got it. So that's very promising. If you work for the county, if you work for any sort of law enforcement department, I would recommend definitely going ahead and applying to get your CCW. After all, it only costs $30 at first. If you get denied, you only lost $30 and a little bit of your time, and maybe you helped make a difference as far as what people do and don't know when it comes to whether or not you can get your CCW in LA County. Be a part of the process. Worst case, you lose $30 and maybe a few hours of your time. That's it. The next category of people that I have seen several different instances, several different companies, several different work employment sources that have gotten a CCW are the people that for work, for whatever their occupation is, might have to carry around large sums of cash or highly valuable equipment. Now, this does not mean that you have to be the owner of a company that does those sorts of things. This can be people that are just employed and do those things. This is a very big difference because in the past, Some people would be considered good cause if they were maybe the owner of a jewelry store, but not necessarily the employee or manager of a jewelry store that might have to do the dangerous things like transport lots of money or valuable items to and from maybe potentially dangerous locations. This is a very big difference. So many people that might work for a jeweler, work for a bank, work for a real estate agent, those are all several examples that I've heard from people that have gotten a CCW. If you work for any sort of job that might require you to carry large valuable items like camera gear, expensive equipment, expensive electronics, cash, that kind of thing, I definitely recommend applying to get your CCW. Okay, so the next category of people that might be able to get a concealed carry permit, I'm gonna give you two examples. One situation where a person didn't get their CCW and one situation where someone did. So I'm going to start with the situation where someone did. I'm going to read their example here. Again, all this information that I'm reading from is going to be in a Word document that's going to be linked to down below. You can also find this information on the CalGuns threads. So here's what he said. Basically, your statement should clearly show why your situation puts you in greater danger than the general population and thus why you need to carry a concealed weapon. In my case, I had an incident related to work that could have put my life and my family in danger that was well recorded. I attached evidence of this incident in great detail, although no police report or restraining order was filed. I also carry valuable equipment for work. I routinely deposit large amounts of money at the bank prior to COVID-19, and I submitted evidence why my line of work puts me in a greater danger than the general population. I included evidence of published incidents of people in my line of work who have been hurt or killed. So this general category that I would put this in would be kind of the I have experienced targeted threats. I may in the future have those specific targeted threats at myself. Someone that might have someone that is stalking them, harassing them, or generally going after them. If you have a situation like this, you are going to definitely want to document those situations as best as you possibly can. If you have police reports, great. If you have text messages, video recordings, audio recordings, anything that you can provide that gives evidence to that those instances actually happened and might actually happen in the future, definitely provide those. Now, the next situation would be someone that has yellow good cause but has not actually been given a physical threat. They have not been physically attacked yet, but someone might have made verbal or maybe some sort of threat to them, but has not actually acted upon that threat yet. Keep in mind, this person did get denied, but we're going to kind of give some information as to why we believe that is the case. If you give any reason to the people doing your background check or doing the investigation to not trust you or not believe you, they are most likely going to deny you, even if you have very good cause. They said they submitted the application. A following week later, they get a phone interview and their check cashed. They clarified their work background and they were able to provide additional information regarding their line of work and why they might need their CCW. They had their in-person interview the next week, and the interview was to clarify the documents provided and details about the industry and how it has changed since COVID. They went through a list of questions regarding character. This is where it's very important. They say that something came up on one of the background checks that I failed to disclose that was about 10 years old. But in asking if, then they asked the interviewer if it would affect them, and they stated because it was so long ago, it should not be an issue, but that was not their call to make. That was ultimately going to be the background investigator, not necessarily the person giving the interview, the decision to make whether or not they give you that good cause approval. At the end of it, they were told that they would hear back within 2 weeks because of the holidays, and they received a denial letter in the mail. So, this person was someone who had good cause that most likely could have been considered good enough to get a CCW in LA County. But because they didn't disclose any prior information, this can be things like speeding tickets. If you've ever been involved with the police, let's say you've had maybe you were involved in a bar fight, you weren't one of the people that were fighting, but you were just involved in a situation. If you've ever had any sort of interactions with police that have been documented, be sure to disclose that and explain it in a way that won't hurt you, but if you lie and you fail to disclose information, that will definitely hurt you. Okay, so wrapping it all up, who do I think should apply? Now keep in mind, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. None of this has been legal advice. I'm just sharing experiences that other people have had and what other experts in the field have kind of shared as their point of view on the subject. When it comes to living in LA County, as of right now, March 17th, 2021, who do I think should apply for a CCW? I think that every single person that is a gun owner, that has a clean criminal history, and you wish to have a CCW, I encourage you to apply. If you live in LA County and you own a handgun, very simply, apply. Spend the $30 and spend the time, most importantly, constructing a very well-written, well-documented good cause statement. Whether you feel you live in the light green section or the yellow or even the dark red, whatever your good cause may be, document it as well as possible, write as long and most detailed information, be as sincere and honest as you can, and please apply. Please take the time to help us figure out whether or not you should apply. If you apply and get denied, but you put in the time and effort, you're out $30 and a few hours of your time. If you apply and get approved, you now have the legal means to conceal carry a firearm in the state of California while living in LA, and that's pretty neat. Regardless of how you feel about the legitimacy of permit programs, I personally don't feel that there should be any sort of concealed carry weapons permits. If you can legally own a gun, why shouldn't you legally be able to take that gun out in public with you and behave like a safe individual? But that's besides the point, topic for another day. I ultimately encourage every gun owner in LA County to apply for a CCW and see if you can get it. Put in the time, put in the effort. Let's see if we can make some difference. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace. Man, that was a long video. I appreciate everyone for sticking around and really just listening through it all. If you have any questions, please drop a comment down below. If this video was in any way helpful to you, I really would appreciate a like. I put a lot of time into reading a lot of information and doing a lot of research. I've asked a lot of people about this, and I hope that this is helpful to you. If you know anyone that lives in LA County, I urge you to share this information to them so that maybe this can help someone else on our quest to encouraging gun owners to be more active in the 2A community. Thank you.